This is Lewis up for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fights on Our Kings. Delighted to be joined with Dave Coldwell here on a nice late Monday night. Yeah, appreciate you giving me some of the time at this hour, mate. But yeah, obviously it's obviously getting close to Christmas now. I know we did catch up about a couple of days ago, but I'm sure nothing's changed. Still all good.
All good, mate. Thanks. Yeah, all good. Nearly there now. It's what is it? It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. So yeah, it's all hectic. We've just been out. The family's just been out now. Had to show them how it's done at darts and golf. You know, not too bad on the crazy golf. So we did all right.
Good to hear. Good to hear. I see you still in the gym, gym still ticking over even
Yeah.
during the festive period.
Yeah, got Ellie's prize boxing January 11th on the Sky Show. Callum Simpson topping the bill. So it's a big opportunity for Ellis to be on a show like that. So yeah, we're training all the way through. We'll have Christmas Day off, but the Sunday that you would normally have off, then we'll come in and we'll do something on the Sunday there. So yeah, just moving it around a little bit to allow for Christmas Day, but no big Christmas dinners for Ellis.
Yeah, got to feel for him, got to feel for him. But yeah, I guess two people will be having a big Christmas dinner. Will be Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. Obviously had their fight on Saturday night. Yeah, I guess sort of touching on that now. Oleksandr Usyk retaining his heavyweight belts. Yeah, it's been a couple of days now. The dust has settled. The emotions taken out of it. How did you view Saturday night's fight?
Firstly, I thought it was a brilliant fight. I really enjoyed watching it. It was a good pace for big men. It was a good pace, sharp, very absorbing. Just felt tense while you're watching it, because that the fight is going to be a battle of wits, positioning, pinching punches here and there, and it, when it's when it's those two kind of fighters, you're very dialed in and tuned in. It's different to when there's two guys just going to be slugging it out. It's a different kind of watch, and yeah, I really enjoyed the fight. I thought it was a good fight, mate.
Definitely. And one thing I just wanted to touch on first things first, and I'm sure maybe you would have noticed it. One thing that always impresses me of Usyk is his ability to turn the screw, especially when he loses rounds. It seems like the worst thing you can do against Usyk is have a real clear round because he comes back even stronger. I mean, have you ever seen a fighter like Usyk who has that ability to turn the screw when things aren't going his way?
When you're talking about in this sort of era in our generation, there's not many that do that. There's not many that can do that in the manner that he does. I mean, if you remember when he boxed AJ, he had a really bad round, a
Mhm.
round where AJ was like ragging him
Yeah.
around.
Hmm.
Like, okay, here we go. And I think he did that in the first Fury fight, and he does that. In this one, I think there were a couple of rounds back to back where Fury put together maybe, and you thought, oh, this is Tyson's getting back in it now, and he just came back out and went up another gear. He's got a desire, a determination, and an application that is very hard to match. Um, yeah, he's obviously the throwback fighters, you had fighters like that. But in this day and age, there's not many that do what he does in that sort of manner, and where a fight can, he's also he doesn't panic when he does lose rounds. He can have a fight where Lomachenko was the same, where in the first 5-6 rounds of a fight, you actually look at the guy and thinking he's giving him a good fight here, but it's what they do, how hard they make you work during those first few rounds of the fight, this first half of the fight, and then you see it in the second half of a fight or in the final third of a fight where they're pulling away a little bit. Um, yeah, he's a good fighter, Alexander Usyk, an outstanding fighter.
It's interesting you touched on a point there about the first 6 rounds, and it did bring me onto a point, and I guess it's sort of relevant for yourself because Tony Bellew was pretty open about it as well, and he said, the first 6 rounds of him fighting Usyk, it was a bit nip and tuck, but he was saying, after 6 rounds, I had nothing left. So, when it comes to him turning the screw, do you think a lot of that has to do with a mental wearing down because he gives you so much to
100%.
think about? Because
100%. And I felt in this fight, he was more it was more of a puzzle. He gave more to look at. His lead hand activity, his non-punching activity, his head movement, especially in those first 6 rounds, first two-thirds of the fight. He mentally it's very draining. You can never really set yourself. And then, you know, where his placement of the punches as well, keeping you guessing. The body punching was really good. He was punching with a lot more authority with that left hand to the body than it was in the first fight, I felt, or he certainly landed a lot cleaner in this second fight. And all that is a part of, you know, what saps the energies of a fighter. Also, when you're missing, you know, you're throwing and throwing and throwing, but you're missing, that takes a lot out of you. And the bigger the guys as well, it's gonna gas them out a little bit more.
Another debate that was big in the aftermath of the fight was the scorecards. I was pretty shocked to see it all unanimous. Not saying that the scorecards were wrong, but to see everyone had it the same because it was such a hard fight to score. Yeah, I guess what did you make of the 116, 112 and the aftermath since that of obviously Frank being quite aggrieved by it and others?
You know, listen, in a close fight, a close, hard fought fight where a lot of the rounds are quite close. One man has success, another one has success, another man has success. They keep swapping over who's having success in moments, who has moments. And in fights like that are close, you can often get scorecards that are quite wide.
Yeah.
Because those close rounds, even though they're close, the same man might just be edging. He might have to work hard. The other fighter's got success as well. But if you're just slightly edging towards that same man, then all of a sudden, before you know it, you look at his total at the end and you go, whoa, that's wider than what I thought it was. You might have a perception that because it's a hard-fought, close fight, if the same man's winning those rounds, that's how you get into the scores. I mean, I personally, I thought it was like 3, maybe 2 rounds to Usyk. You know, 2 or 3 rounds I thought to Usyk. And when I heard the scorecards, I didn't think Fury's got it. I thought Usyk's got it. Whereas sometimes in a fight, if you think somebody's you're more hoping than not, and then you hear these scorecards, you think, oh, definitely not got it. Or I kind of thought when I heard the scorecards, I thought, well, they can't give that can't be to Fury, surely not. So if you've got it 2 rounds, which, like I said, I had it 3 rounds, but if a couple of rounds are quite close or closer, where it's like, you know, in the olden days, people would score fights 10-10. Now it's like, no, you've got to make sure.
Yeah.
So they, well, I think, or I leant towards him, or he threw more, or he. If there's a round where everybody's on the fence and it tips the other way, that gives you the swing, you know, and it's to go from a 2-point round to a 2-point margin to a 4-point margin doesn't take a lot. Mm-hmm. It takes 1 round where it was very, very tight and people's opinions are split. It takes that 1 round where it goes in the other man's favor, and then you've got that, and it makes it all of a sudden look like that's really wide. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in hard-fought fights and battles and rounds where there are a lot of ebbs and flows and nips and tucks and shifts, that can happen quite often.
I was going to say, like, I think I remember the 116, 112 of Beterbiev Bivol. You know, it's a different kind. I don't know, it's a different kind of fight, but do you think it is a case of like, you know, it's like people would say 116, 112 is too wide, but 115, 113 is fine. Like, is it a bit of a weird one where it's like, you know, it's only 1 round really in it?
It's because it just seems a lot, you know, and especially if you don't think about that in the heat of the moment, then you realise it is 1 round. You know, but listen, I think the right man won. Yeah, I thought Usyk stopped Fury. I know people saying, "Oh, why didn't Fury put it on him more? Why didn't Fury do this? Why?" Because Usyk stopped him from doing it. You got to understand. It's like I've just heard something on the radio now where, oh, I'm disappointed in Tyson Fury because he said he was going to do this before the fight. He said he was going to implement, you know, he's put this weight on to be stronger and to maul him. But Usyk's not just going to stand there and let you do what he wants you to do, what you want to do. People were just, before the fight, talking about Deontay Wilder too. he's going to do the same there. He's going to come out bigger, put more weight on, bigger, hold the center ring, push him back. Alexander Usyk isn't Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder, number one, can't punch going backwards. Number two, apart from his right hand, he isn't a skillful boxer. His feet aren't great. He doesn't control that distance great, and he can't do it going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Usyk's had 350 odd amateur fights. What is he? 23, 24 pro fights now. 95% of those guys that he's fought have come at him. So that style suits him. Anyone coming at him suits him. And so if you want to get hold of him and you want to put the pressure on him, he understands how to stop that from happening. You have a bit of success, and then he is that intense, is that dogged and determined to claim that ring space and have himself where he wants to be. His lead hand, his front foot, his head movement off the line, his feints, his triggers. They're constantly offsetting you, and before you know it, it's creeping you, so you're going back. How many times did Fury try to go forward, but he ended up getting pushed back?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Either center of ring or getting pushed back or moving round.
Yeah.
And it's not because Fury didn't want to push him back, because sometimes in boxing you're in with somebody that's just that one step a little, it doesn't have to be a lot, but one step in front of you all the time, and it has you just missing. You don't have to miss by loads, and Usyk doesn't look to make you miss by loads. It's not like massive. Sometimes, yeah, but not massive. Sometimes it's you're just falling short, but you're just falling short, and he's close enough to either counter you or threaten you. And in your head, you're thinking, I'm wide open, I'm missing, I'm wide open. And tall fighters, they hate missing and feeling vulnerable and getting caught on the recoil. And that's what Usyk's a master of doing. Is just adjusting his feet, dropping back, coming straight back in with two, three punches. The body punching was fantastic. The body punching was, it's really, really good. And he was very, very disciplined in that. And all that is part of the reason why I feel as though he won the fight. And yes, Tyson Fury had successes, but plenty of opponents have successes against Usyk. He doesn't panic. He always answers back when it's on his terms. When you start opening up and if he gets caught, he'll just defend, move, make his escape. Then he gets back to his rhythm, and yeah, I haven't got a problem with the result.
Mm-hmm. And from what you said there, Dave, as well, when you talked about there was a lot of talk about Fury's approach to the rematch, and maybe I look at it from a biased point of view. Obviously, from the UK, they're going to talk more about the UK fighter. But do you feel like in the lead up to this fight, there was a lot of maybe disrespect towards Usyk? Like there was a lot of more focus on what Fury has to do to beat Usyk instead of like, look, you're not thinking that Usyk is going to make adjustments as well.
Exactly. I mean, I said this to somebody before the fight in an interview. Yes, I expect Fury to make adjustments to the fight. But don't forget, Usyk's such a clever fighter. He's got such a great IQ in his team. Do you not think that they're going to look at that fight and think, right, we got hit with too many uppercuts in that fight, left my head, lent in a lot more, left my head in certain positions, didn't do this, and in the second fight, you could see, don't get me wrong, in the last third of the fight, Usyk started getting caught with a lot more uppercuts. And start getting caught with some good right hands. But in the first 2/3 or so of the fight, he was taking that right uppercut away. He really wasn't throwing it until past halfway point. I think then he landed a shot and but up until that point, and when people say, why didn't he use that? Because Usyk didn't put himself in that position. He was very disciplined with keep getting his head off to Usyk's right, Fury's left hand side, away from his right hand, away from his right uppercut. Whereas in the first fight, a lot of times he was leaving, lunging in, not quite getting distance right, lunging in, and then he'd be there for the shot. This time I felt it was a lot better with that. And there was a couple of times where you'd see on the attacks and the slow motions where Usyk's position would be there and the uppercut had just missed and it'd be going past his left shoulder. and also even when he did come in, his hand position was a little bit better, so he could catch the shots better. But yeah, and like I said, I think he was more probably a little bit more persistent with the lead hand. I thought his lead hand just looked sharper. His movements just looked sharper in the second fight as the first fight for me. But yeah, like you said, they'll have gone back and they'll have looked at that and thought we need to be better for this. We need to do that. And I thought he was better in the second fight.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you there. What would you like next for both fighters? For Usyk and Fury, it's a question that I know it's quite raw at the moment because there's it's a bit of a weird one. But what would you like? I guess is next for both fighters.
Well, first thing for Usyk, I would love for him to ride off into the sunset because he for me, I put it up on my Instagram. Oleksandr the Great, he's a great Olympic gold medalist, turns pro, unifies the cruiserweight division, fights the best of his era in the cruiserweight division, steps up to heavyweight, fights the best of his era at heavyweight. If you think about it, Daniel Dubois now has got a version of the title, and he's he's a young, hungry, good heavyweight. Whatever you want to say, Oleksandr Usyk beat Daniel Dubois. He's beat Anthony Joshua twice. Joshua, 6'6", big monster, beat him twice. He's beat Tyson Fury, 6'9", big monster, elite level skill set, beat him twice. What else is there for him that's going to add to that legacy? When you look back on his career, at cruiserweight, he beat Breeders, he beat Hook, Glowacki, he beat everybody, that's what I'm saying. It's not like he's picked the easiest opponents in the division to get a world title around his waist. He's picked the best, and he's gone everywhere. He's gone everywhere to win the titles.
Mm-hmm.
How else does his legacy get even greater if he beats the next wave of contenders? Does it get any greater if he beats Joe Parker, Daniel Dubois? He's already beaten Dubois. Does it make it any greater because he's beaten twice? Not really. So at 38, I'd like him to jack and be like a Lennox Lewis and fighters like that have walked out at the top. Carl Froch, Joe Calzaghe. Joe Calzaghe, unbeaten, walked out at the top. That's a very rare to go collect all the belts, be 2-time undisputed, and to leave unbeaten. That'd be unbelievable. So I would like him to do that. I think at 38, his style is very hard to keep up. It's hard work for him. It's a hard style it takes a lot of energy. There's a lot of wear and tear on that. It's a style that you would associate with smaller guys.
Yeah.
He's doing it at heavyweight, and he's doing it giving weight away, physical attributes that these fighters are having. It's hard work, and it's a lot of wear and tear on him. So I'd like him to jack. Tyson Fury, I've heard people saying, "Oh, he needs to retire." First of all, he's been at the top of the game. He's cracked it. He's been the main man. He's an elite level fighter. He's beat everybody that's gone in front of him, and then he's faced another elite level fighter, a great fighter, where it's just a little bit better than him. There's not a lot in it. He's a bit better than him, and he's been beat a couple of times by him. Why does that mean that you have to retire? So there's plenty of fights out there if he wants to. Now the problem is Fury's desire. Does he want to? Would he get up for a Dubois? Would he get up for an AJ fight? That's the fight that we want to see. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to see that fight. I think that's the fight. I think now, regardless of AJ's coming off a loss, Fury's coming off a loss, it's still a Wembley Stadium, a monster pay-per-view, monster payday from both, and it's the fight that everybody will be talking about. So I think that's the fight, and I hope it gets made because I'm a big boxing fan. I've got no vested interest in either of them, I want to see the fight. I want to, and it's a bit like, um, it's not as bad, but it's a bit like when Kellen and Khan
Yeah.
fought. You knew they weren't at the best,
Hmm.
but let's get the fight on. Let's see who wins. After the fight, people still say, "Oh yeah, but who would have won at the peak?" And that conversation is always going to happen because, unfortunately, both Fury and AJ aren't at the peak. So there's still, and that, because that fight never happened, that discussion will never ever go away. People will always say, "Yeah, but no matter if they fight now and who wins, yeah, but who would have won at the peak?" That's a conversation. That those two guys will always be linked. They'll always be linked in conversations. And
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like a Froch Calzaghe, like a Hatton against Junior Witter, like a Lennox Lewis against Riddick Bowe, where they never met. And
Hmm.
you know, knows, that's gonna be a great fight. So I hope the fight gets made, and I think the fight will get made now because really it's the best fight out there for them. Because what they're going to do, have a comeback fight against anybody? No, fight each
Hmm.
other, put that to bed. You might get a rematch out of it. It might
Hmm.
even be. You just don't know because that you don't know what happens in the fight. But that's the fight, and I think that's the one. If that fight didn't happen, would you know? Fury's never going to fight Joseph Parker. If Daniel Dubois beats him, then Fury against Dubois is a good fight. So like I said, it's all down to what Tyson Fury wants to do. What can he get up for? What will motivate him to get in that ring? But if he can't get motivated for anything and he's just not asked, then walk away, retire, and you've had a hell of a career. But yeah, is he slowing down? Is he the man that he once was? No. Yes, he's slowing down. No, he's not the man that he once was. The fighter that he once was. No, but that comes to up. That's the same as Usyk. Usyk's not the man now that he once was. That's what happens when you're getting older and when you have
Yeah.
mild and you're getting punched in the head and body and you're going through training camp, training camp, training camp. It ages you. It slows you down. And when time catches up, there is no rewind. We can't. Can't set the clocks back. So no, he's not. But he's still an elite heavyweight. He's still at the top of the tree. There's just one man that's above him.
When it comes to AJ Fury, and I think fights are liking it, and I know he fought after it, but like Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, that was like the end of that era of heavyweights. Would you think? I know we never got AJ Wilder, but do you see that as like AJ Fury? That's like the end game of like the 2010, that sort of era of heavyweight before the young ones come through.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
That would be, that because those two have been intertwined and talked about for years. And this is a good lesson for boxing. It's another mega fight that where because they want an extra zero on the end because they want that check to be bigger. Let's let it brew, let it brew, let it brew, and then egos might get involved, and then you know because there were rivalries between promoters might get involved. Now all that's all sorted. Now hopefully going forward, then when we do get these new rivalries, they get made because you can get 2 and 3 fights out of them. You can create real rivalries like they used to do back in the day where the best of fight each other multiple times. But yeah, do I think it's the end of it is an end of an era. It is.
Definitely, yeah. Did want to move on. Have to ask you about Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen. A crazy fight. With a lot of
What fight?
controversy around it. Yeah, a really good fight. Like, I was yeah, it was a crazy one, but obviously that is in its as we were talking about scoring there, that come with its own controversy of scoring. I don't know if it's much controversy or it was a pretty foregone conclusion. I don't know what your opinion was of it, but what did you make of I guess Johnny Fisher getting the nod?
I thought Dave Allen got done.
Yeah.
I thought Dave Allen got done. I thought you know what? It was one of those fights where it was a hard, brutal fight. Both men landed some hellacious shots in there, but it was one that was quite clear to score. The first 4 rounds, old Johnny Fisher fucking landing some booming shots to the head. Dave Allen just making him work, basically daring Fisher to tire himself out on his head, and he did, and he cashed him, he wobbled, and from the moment that he puts him over, then it's a Dave Allen fight.
Mhm.
So it's quite easy to score. Plus the knockdown, I think he definitely got done out of a win there. And the the shame, what's the shine of the fight has been taken away because that is a modern day classic. As
Mhm.
far as heavyweight fights go, that was just a slugfest. That was like crazy. If you're watching Fury and Usyk at skill level and high level boxing, that was just a straightforward tear up where you just want to see two men go to war, and that was a pure war. Don't get no better than that in that division. Swapping big bombs like that, you know. Johnny Fisher as a young heavyweight prospect, he ticks a massive box in there. And I know
Mhm.
bizarre. I felt he lost the fight. Hard fought fight, but I felt he lost it. But the positive is it ticks the box where you're checking to see if your prospect has got a set of nuts on him.
Mhm.
Has he got a set of nuts on him? Can he bite down when it gets tough and drive himself through? Does he quit? No. Does he just then give up on winning, but just try to see it to the end of the fight and just not get stopped? Does he fight no matter? Oh, I just don't want to get hurt. Try to win, but don't. Or does he just think, fuck it, I'm going to give you some, and he just kept on coming back, and he was out, he was fucked, he was shattered. Can you imagine a big man like that with no legs? His legs are completely gone. His legs are tired and heavy from getting bashed around, scrambled sensors, but his instinct is still to keep throwing bombs and to keep trying to knock Dave Allen out. That's a big tick in the box there. He's young, he's learning, on the job, he's going around his sparring, whatever. He's gonna get better, you know.
Mhm.
Tibbs just doing a great job with him, and he's gonna get better working with him back in the gym, learning from the fight, just process of being a fighter, a young heavyweight, it's going to get better. The one thing that you can't coach, you can't teach, is whether they've got that in them or not. You know, and he's proved that. So it's a big fact, positive for him. Dave Allen, that's the opposite. I'm absolutely gutted for him because he's actually done everything right for this fight, giving it everything in camp, come to the fight, giving it everything, tried his heart out, and he's I feel as though he should have had his first pro title. I didn't realize it would
Yeah.
have been his first pro title. And I think to fight in that manner and to have done what he's done and walked through the fight that he did because he was hurt, he was taking some shots. It's just that they were, you know, when I say hurt, it wasn't wobbling like that, but they must have hurt him. It's just biting down on it. But it's a testament to his toughness and his grit and his desire that he kept walking through him. Because even just the body shots that Fisher was landing, especially early doors, they were horrible. And then even after he half gassed himself out trying to finish him, and then Johnny starts smashing those right. I think there was one point where he's dropped his hand and then he's taking big right
Yeah.
hand. Mate, that's an incredible level of toughness. And
Mhm.
to not get your reward out of that, I felt for him. I really did feel for him.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I do feel for Dave, but I think I quoted one of your tweets, and you did make a really good point. You mentioned it there. Like, you think if you look at the future for Johnny Fisher now, I know he's probably, he'll be, annoyed about the performance and annoyed about how the fight went. But it's fair to say, he probably learned a lot about himself in there. But do you feel like he will, as a novice pro like he is, he will benefit so much from a fight like that?
100%. Listen, it makes no difference if you take it in the right way. It makes no difference whether Johnny Fisher has that fight, the same fight, comes away with a fortunate decision and remains unbeaten, and he's got that zero next to underneath the L column, or if he has that exact same fight, comes away and he's got a one in the L column. It makes no difference to his future if he has the same attitude of I've got a lot to learn from this fight. I'm going to learn a lot from this fight. I'm going to improve from this fight. But what it does is what the judges have done there. It's kind of like where it shouldn't be, but people kind of like don't just think, well, Fisher gave his all as well, and it was fucking brilliant fight. Just one of them things. It's the judges that did that. But whereas a lot of people now you start seeing and they're slagging Johnny Fisher off.
Hmm.
and they're giving him it's not him. He didn't score the fight. He just gave absolutely everything in that fight. So the problem is that when judges do that, they're not actually giving him a bonus. They're costing them. They're costing them. Some fans not respect, but I don't know how to label it. But fans see him differently when they get a gift. They kind of like turn on him a little bit. You know, I've seen it with other fighters. You know, and
Josh Taylor's a good example of
yeah,
that.
yeah. And it's not actually their fault. You know, the judges did that. But he learns from it and he comes back better. It's you know, it's at the end of the day, he's not gonna. I think they did say that if it had gone to the, you know, if David had got it, they had no arguments. But they've handled it great, and that's what I'm saying. You've got two fighters in there that are good people. You know, both Dave Allen and Fisher. And Fisher's dad even said that straight after the fight that he thought that
Yeah.
Dave would fight. Fair play to him, respect to him. It's they shouldn't, you know, Johnny Fisher shouldn't be thought of any less by people, you know, by fans or just, you know, have people turn off him a little bit because he got a gift decision. It's nothing to do with them. You know, he give his all. If anything, like I said, the stock should go up. You know, both of them stock goes up. It's just another for me, another shit decision in boxing. And it's the judges that need, you know, being held accountable for it.
Absolutely. Before I do let you go, Dave, I did have to talk about another young heavyweight, a man from Chatham like myself, Moses Itauma. Scary. That's all I have to say, and I'm sure you echo them words. Scary, scary from a 19-year-old so young.
What a prospect that kid is. It's frightening. It's frightening. He's 19 years old. Oh my God. 19 years old. That's the one. He's definitely the one in that division. I think I'm told he takes a shot if he's got the stamina and if he can hold that power and that speed in the later rounds, obviously at higher levels, then we've got a real star in his hands. You know, he's 19. Listen, don't get me wrong. I expected him. I said to lads at gym, I expected him
Yeah.
to get rid of him in a couple of rounds. I just thought it was
Yeah.
too upright for Keane, and I thought he'll get done in a couple of rounds. But it's the fashion that he did it.
Mhm.
That you know, he can punch. His triggers, his foot movement, his agility. It's fantastic, but his speed's frightening.
Mm.
Frightening speed. I've said it before. He reminds me the way that he threw his shots, the way that how sharp is his feints and shoot. It reminds me of a cruiserweight version of David A. You know, not the heavyweight version, but a cruiserweight. That sort of electric speed. But Moses is a heavyweight, and he's a big old lump as well. And he closes that distance so well, so sharp, so fast, and the timing with the feet and the hands. Wow, he's a good fighter, very good fighter. It's going to be some great nights ahead for him.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be great nights ahead in 2025. Dave, as always, mate, thank you for taking time to speak to me. Massively, massively appreciate it. My last one of the year, my last interview of the year, so I couldn't think of anyone better to do it with. As always, mate, have a great Christmas, have a great New Year, and as always, thank you for all the time that you give me in 2024, mate. Always massively appreciate
Always good speaking with you, mate.
it.
You put the in and I appreciate that, mate. So hope you have a good Christmas. Hope you have a good 2025, and everybody that's out there watching, have a good time. Be safe and stay healthy, and make sure you're happy in 2025.
Perfect. Nicely put, mate. Top man. Appreciate it.